Thank you for staying with us. We have with us Dr. Hassan Wagih, of course, Professor of International Negotiations at Al-Azhar University, discussing Prince Charles' visit to Egypt and his meeting with the Grand Imam Sheikh of Al-Azhar, Dr. Ahmed Tayyib. Dr. Wagih, so you were talking to us before the short break that we took about the prior visits by Prince Charles and his meeting with the late Sheikh of Al-Azhar, Gad al-Haq, and surely also Sheikh Sayyid Tantawi, also the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, also received Prince Charles, right?
Yeah, the three of them, the three Grand Imams, has had the honor of receiving him, welcoming him in the Al-Azhar University.
Yes. So tell us about some nice stories about these visits. Give us an insight of what happened during these visits.
Yeah, actually, I was summoned by the Grand Imam Gad al-Haq to tell me that because I'm specialized in cross-cultural communication, and I raised the issue of having cross-cultural communication as a challenge that we need to work on. So he asked me to give him a brief account about the discourse of Prince Charles, and by that time I was teaching my students at Al-Azhar University.
We're seeing a picture there, a photo of
oh, good.
Yeah.
That was a meeting,
between the late Grand Imam and
that
Prince
was
Charles.
Great moments, and it happens that I am teaching his seminal article and speech that was delivered in Oxford, called Islam and the West. This is published in Arabic and in English for those people who like to look at cross-cultural communication hassles and the problems. I think
Dr. Hassan, that's you to the left of the Grand Imam, right?
Oh, exactly, exactly.
On the screen, of course, it is to the right, but I mean, it is in real life, it was to the left.
Yes, it was a great time, and you know, I can remember from that meeting that one of the most important things that Prince Charles made is that we lack strategic listening in the Islam and the West. When it comes to the two worlds of Islam and the West, he put his hand on that we have to listen to each other far more better than the real situation. It's not about us with him, of course. It's about the case of the two worlds. Noise is a lot, misunderstanding, and if you look back to his cross-cultural communication piece, which is Islam and the West, who delivered, it was a distinguished speech quoted by thousands of people. Actually, he said we have to work harder to implement much more dialogues and make it accumulative and make it fruitful. And one of the most important things is the continuity he is insisting on. This is why he came here 3 times now. And actually, he said something very important. He said that the level of misunderstanding is dangerously high between the two worlds. And we have to work hard through dialogue to contain any trouble, to contain any problems. And also, he made a very nice choice of words. We have to drain any poison, any toxic behavior, and we have to lay the ghost of fear and suspicion. Beautiful English and beautiful, beautiful statements, and very, very to the point of what is happening. Because if we leave those people who kidnapped the religion and kidnapped the politics in both worlds, yes, the world is lost. So I think that was very important when he mentioned in that first meeting the issue about strategic listening.
Yes, you have to listen more than you talk. Let me ask you a question, and I'm sure that this is in your field.
Sure.
Can we say that Egypt and the UK are, represent great examples of tolerance? Because Egypt is the land of having religions. Egypt is the land of love and peace and tolerance. It has always been the case throughout the history of Egypt. And the UK is given a real example in, I mean, the Muslims in the UK are treated in a great way. I mean, just like any other, there is no oppression, let us say this.
That's right.
Again, Muslims in the UK are enjoying some of the greatest freedoms that Muslims anywhere in the world are enjoying.
Yes.
So can we say that these two countries, I mean, these two big states are a real example for tolerance and peace?
Of course, we can say that. And when it comes to your point about freedom of speech, freedom of speech in Britain is so great. Actually, I give you another example. It's not only about Muslim, Christian, and Jews or people of different religious affiliations. No, it's not only that, but also Chomsky. When Chomsky, the great scholar and the great linguist, the most important intellectual living on earth now, and he is telling me when I had an interview with him that he had some problems in publishing in the U.S., but he has no trouble publishing in Britain. When it was banned in some publishing houses, he went to Britain and published that. So I think this is something that we have to admit, that there is good atmosphere of freedom of expression in Britain, of course.
Surely, surely.
Yeah.
And again, like, you know, the Muslims in Manchester, Muslims in many cities.
In Liverpool.
Yeah, in Liverpool, of course, yeah. I mean, there is equality there, and there is great tolerance and peace in the UK, just like here in Egypt. So, Dr. Wagih, how do you view the Prince's keenness to visit the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar and to visit Mashayikh Al-Azhar again and again? Again and again,
right. I mean, if you analyze the discourse of His Royal Highness Prince Charles, you can find that when he is talking about Islam and the West, he's not talking about security threats as many people do. He's not talking about the protracted crisis that face the Arab Islamic world and the West. No, he is very interested in the spiritual atmosphere. He has a keen interest in Islam to know, and he introduced Islam in an excellent way in his distinguished speech in Islam and the West in Oxford. And he has an admiration when he came to Al-Azhar and he was given the honorary degree. He mentioned that he is the place reminds him of Oxford University. And I think that his approach to cross-cultural communication is spiritual. It's not politicized. It is authentic, and he
genuine.
He read a lot about Islam, and he knew, and he said this: Islam cannot in Islam you cannot separate between man and nature. You cannot separate science and religion.
Very true.
So his approach, long time ago, since his early visit in 1995, about climate change. The issue is
that was my next point.
That is in his agenda long time ago, and he believes that it has to be dealt with all these unprecedented challenges, that we have to face this by science and religion. And he is combining the two. This is why his visit to Al-Azhar has a great significance, that if we'd like to have scientific steps and procedures to be taken to address what is so dangerous now to the entire planet, he also concentrates that it is a religious it has a religious dimension that has to be addressed.
Yes. So the visit comes, Dr. Wagih, immediately after the UK hosted the 26th Climate Action Summit and Egypt's nomination to take over the presidency of the 27th Climate Action Summit in 2022. So how do you see the keenness of President Sisi and Prince Charles to develop small enterprises in an environmentally friendly manner, because environmentally friendly goes along with, the fighting global warming and taking action as far as climate change is concerned?
Actually, yes, we have to understand that the real threat that really threats the entire planet now is climate change. And I think having to have Egypt nominated for such a role, I think this is very important, because in Egypt, we started out good programs that would enhance environmental cleanliness, environmental orientation that really would keep things in the right track. So I think when it comes to climate change, no one country on earth could stand by itself. It has to have a collective will. We have to have a collective will. We have to have cooperation. And I think Egypt, from a geopolitical stance, is very important. It is the third center of the whole world. And I think Egypt with its history, Egypt with its growing role now, is important to be recognized and to have this kind of cooperation with Britain and with the entire world when it comes to this real overwhelming danger that threats everyone on the planet.
Indeed, Dr. Wagih. Now, the Duchess of Cornwall's visit program focuses on empowering women by listening to the experiences of women leaders in Egypt and their efforts to encourage nature conservation again. How do you view that?
Of course, women empowerment is on the agenda of the UN, of the Western Hemisphere in particular, but women empowerment is here in Egypt too. And actually what is good about empowerment, the term empowerment, is that from my own point of view, I do respect this kind of interest in women empowerment, of course. Nobody can handle this except by accepting that women should be empowered.
Definitely.
But again, I am for self-empowerment. Self-empowerment for men and for women, for children, for every person, whether a man or a woman. Because when you have this self-empowerment, this means that you have the energy and the will to go for achieving a better agenda, to spread energetic, to spread positive energy, to have your agenda achieved. And no one is going to empower you. These are the lessons that I learned, and many people should learn, that nobody will empower someone. You have to empower yourself. You have to work on yourself. So I think this visit is very good. When we are talking about empowerment, we have to enlarge the context a little bit. And I'll be very keen to listen to what she's going to tell us about.
Beautifully said. Now, Dr. Wagih, the Prince of Wales is to meet artisans and conservators to celebrate traditional craftsmanship and the UK's support for cultural heritage preservation. How do you see this keenness from the part of the Prince of Wales, to preserve Egyptian cultural heritage?
Actually, when it comes to cultural heritage, we have to look at it from the perspective of environment. When you are modernizing a lot, sometimes this is hazardous to the environment. But when you are talking about preserving original cultural heritage, this also go well with the environment, go well with having skills developed, going well with encouraging small business, because when all the big economies relies on small business, and look at what happens in Japan, in Malaysia. I think we start from this area and you grow, and this you don't have to have big capital for this. So I think this to address population, this address the interest of anyone who really wants to work out something in the right direction. And our culture is so favorable for us. So I think keeping cultural heritage should be a good step in the right direction.
Indeed. Now, Dr. Wagih, the Prince and his wife are to attend the British-Egyptian reception to celebrate ties between the two countries held at the Giza Plateau overlooking the pyramids. He's also to visit the ancient city of Alexandria. How do you see the importance of such visits in promoting Egypt and in encouraging more and more tourists to come to our friendly country?
I believe that this reflects the interest of His Royal Highness and his wife in this great country. I'm not saying great country because it's my country, but for them and for the entire world, they love Egypt. Egypt history is being studied all over the world. Especially I can remember that someone told me that they are teaching leaders through the pharaohs. So I think this old country with great heritage is of an interest to everyone to visit. And I think when you are doing that, His Royal Highness and his wife, really I consider this an empowerment for Egypt, that Egypt deserves that.
Indeed. Now, this great visit is really welcomed here in Egypt, and Egypt is very happy with the visit of the Prince of Wales and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall. Again, great meetings, especially with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, and visits to the Giza Plateau and to the pyramids and to Alexandria. We thank you very much, Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of International Negotiations at Al-Azhar University. And thank you for your insight, and thank you for the memories that you gave us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Wagih. Dear viewers, my dear colleague Nashwa Rashid will be back shortly for the second topic here in this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. She'll be talking about our great Luxor, which is witnessing unprecedented preparations for the approaching date of the opening of the Holy Processions Road the Rams in the upcoming weeks. Let's watch this feature about a report about Luxor with our own Sahar At-Talawi, and then Nashwa will be back. Thank you.
Luxor is nicknamed the city of